Well, good morning, man.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Doing well. It's a Monday morning, nice and early.
Nice and early. At least my alarm went off this time.
Right? Yeah.
That's always good to have.
It worked. It works today.
Yeah, it worked today. But yeah, man, Monday morning. This is new to me being here Monday morning. But honestly, it's a good way to start the week, and I'm pretty awake, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing, I think. Right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we're awake. That's the best we can ask for on a Monday morning.
Yeah. So
got coffee, so that's also a good thing.
Yeah, I already drank like 4 of them, so I'm definitely ready to go.
Have you ever had like those yerba mates?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Dude, it's the scariest thing. It's like energy on a whole. It's supposed to have coffee and caffeine and all this other stuff, but like, it's ridiculous. It like gives me the jitters.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, right.
I was looking through some stuff last night, and I scrolled through, and so the first thing I see is that there was like a recent poll, right? And this poll was to figure out who the American people wanted to be to run for president.
Right.
And the top choice was Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
The Rock.
The Rock for president. How would you feel about The Rock as like a presidential candidate?
He seems like a great guy. Seems like a really, really nice. He does a lot of charity work. I follow him on Instagram. I've always been a big fan of his.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the whole like celebrities running for president thing.
That's like a new thing.
Is that going to be the thing now? Like,
yeah, that's the new thing. Is
because people want Oprah too, and
oh God.
Right.
President. Well, at least we get free stuff.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Every morning that Oprah is president, you wake up and it's Christmas because you got a free car.
Yeah.
Trips to Aruba, all that good stuff under your bed every day.
Right. Exactly.
No, I just think I do think it's a little strange that nowadays it doesn't matter what your political background is. It just matters what your stardom is. And really that's what people take into consideration in order for you to be considered for any political position. President seems really odd that people would want someone who has zero background. Literally zero background.
I know. I mean, I guess the appeal is that like he is, of the people. I mean, a lot of people know his story. He comes from like very humble beginnings, I guess, and so like maybe that's like an appeal to people. Like they relate to that. But I guess I don't know.
If Korea got out of line, he would just give them the people's elbow.
Right? Yeah. Hey, look! He fought a hurricane. Okay, like.
I guess if you could take on like the Undertaker and Kane, you could take on North Korea or China. I guess that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, that's the new criteria. I mean, Trump was in the arena too.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Trump was the first of what I think is going to be many.
Yeah.
In this vast new world that we live in. So like I said, the recent poll says that American people want The Rock to make a political run for president. And the megastar answered with this: "Not sure our founding fathers ever envisioned a 6'4", bald, tattooed, half black, half Samoan, tequila drinking, pickup driving, fanny pack wearing guy joining their club. But if it ever happens, I'd be honored to serve the people." And all I could think was, wait, The Rock still wears fanny packs? Still? Or is it just that picture, that one picture? Oh, no.
Yeah, he probably just knows now not to be pictured with them. He
Oh,
wears
no.
them. He just knows. All right, keep the cameras away when I'm on.
But yeah, listen. I mean, the Rock's a cool guy. I guess I wouldn't be like. Another one is Will Smith. People have said that they wouldn't mind Will Smith as like president of the United States, and I don't know about that one. Will Smith is one of my favorite people in the world, but
I don't know. I mean, he's one of my favorite actors, but I don't know like enough about him personally. I know,
a
I
little
don't
bit
know.
about him.
Yeah.
People think he's a Scientologist, which I don't think it's true.
Right. Yeah. No, I know that's not true. I actually kind of like his wife Jada has that Red Table talk show. She's got some interesting guests on there. They talk like mental health and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Well, they do have some special children. That's
right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Jaden.
Yes. But so would you? Is there any fun things that you found that you wanted to talk about this morning?
Let's see. I know this week, Kid Cudi and Carey Mulligan were on SNL. They were talking.
That, right?
Yeah. There one skit that got pretty popular was they did rap Pete Davidson, Kid Cudi, and then they brought in Timothy Chalamet for this little rap number. Pete Davidson is really the main one that's been keeping SNL alive, I think, right now.
Yeah, and he's going to be in the Suicide Squad as well.
Right.
Like, most people didn't really like. Not that they didn't know, but I mean, in the trailer, it was a surprise to them is when they saw him like walking around. And I do think that for the Suicide Squad, he probably won't make it out of the first half of the movie.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. And that's okay, right? The Suicide Squad it's meant to show you like, all right, these people are dispensable, and half of them probably aren't going to make it. If more than half, than half are going to make it through it. So, Pete Davidson, and he also had that movie that I watched, the Kid from New York or something.
King of Staten Dude.
King of Staten Island, yeah. So I was
so close. Good. Staten Island. Yep.
I was not close.
Yep. The Kid from New York.
King of Staten Island, same thing. But yeah, so I don't really watch SNL anymore. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, I do only probably because of him. I really like him. He's funny. And Kenan Thompson. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people at this point are only watching because of the hosts, whoever is hosting that week.
Right. So okay, so we have that that little skit that was I'm probably gonna have to take a look at that. But you also shared something yesterday that I thought was really cool, is the Elon Musk and the Neuralink with the
right.
And so for anyone who doesn't know, Neuralink is it's something of the future. So like to help like paraplegic patients regain cognitive function, and it allows them to like the neurons will start. It's like a bridge between your brain, and it helps like the neurons fire, so you can access those parts of your brain again. But they're testing it in monkeys, and there was this monkey that was playing ping pong with itself on like that game, the where the beep and the
right pawn.
That was wild. Elon Musk might be like an evil, like without knowing it, might turn into an evil like evil genius who like ruins the world.
Right.
So,
right.
That.
I mean, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Like, he's talked about how he's afraid of AI and all this stuff, and he's creating it.
But that's the thing, is he won't stop. Like he won't stop being he won't stop creating just because he's afraid. But that's where in movies people get that's where the line gets drawn in the sand, right? And like in movies and in science fiction movies, the line gets drawn in the sand is when the creator is afraid of the creation but doesn't stop creating, right? Exactly. And that's where we got to be afraid. And and I don't know, but another thing I thought was cool, well, not cool but interesting, was so Nate Moore, he's a like a producer, right? And he's a producer for Marvel Studios. And a lot of people, including myself, and I'm assuming you, have been wondering about what Black Panther 2 is going to do with the passing of Chadwick Boseman. And I mean, in my mind, there's in my mind, I would think maybe like take the Fast and Furious kind of route and do like the digital recreation,
like for a second,
for an after credit scene, for whatever, like the thing that they did with Paul Walker, right? Is kind of like digital recreate him, limit the lines said or spoken, and give him like a send off. However, that is not going to be the case. So when asked about that, he said to Vanity Fair, no, just straight up, no. I can say that is not going to happen. I would be honest if it was. Chad's passing is a whole life thing, and I love the guy as much as the character. I think we have to be very careful and thoughtful about when he appears. And the quote goes on, but I think so. That's interesting because when he appears would signify that he will appear.
Right.
It's not going to be in Black Panther 2. And then Loop, I can never pronounce her name correctly. Lupita
Nyong'o, yeah.
Yeah. So she also recently opened up about Chad's passing and said that it's very hard to move on, but that Ryan Coogler, the director of Black Panther 2, is paying tribute to Chadwick in like a fitting way. So the movie looks like it's going to be moving on without Chadwick Boseman, without T'Challa, and I am interested to see how they tell a story without the main character.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's kind of like I was thinking that they might do like what they did with Leia in Star Wars. Maybe there's some unused. I mean, I'm sure. From what I heard, they shot like so many different.
There's plenty of
much different. Stuff for Endgame and stuff. Like, I'm sure there's something that they can find or use. Maybe put them. I mean, I think they even said that like they played around with like multiple character deaths in Endgame. So if it could be they do something like that. It could be maybe they address it in What If. There's a lot of different things I think, but at the end of it, I think you can't replace him. There's no replacing him. There's no. So it's that's what I'm interested to see is who and how they're gonna. Kind of figure that out, Yeah.
And I mean, don't be afraid to comment, y'all, and then let us know what you think or if there's anything that you want to bring up. For sure, anything is fair game. I did think it was interesting on do you think it would be insensitive to them would it be insensitive of them to kind of use that technology and create him? Because Fast and the Furious didn't wait. And people didn't seem to mind.
That's true. And the Fast and Furious one, they did it in a really like that was fitting. It was like a brief second, and it was just like bye. You need peace. It was just weird how that worked out.
Yeah. They also did have a bunch of other footage of him like that was in the movie that was like sequential in the sense that it was already shot with Paul Walker for that movie. The Black Panther 2 never got underway with anything. It's still in pre-production.
Exactly.
So, they never got to shoot anything with Chadwick Boseman, and that's a shame.
I mean, they could totally do something like that. I think and get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to be one of those things. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you really. I know Ryan, the director, said that Chad. The reason he's still doing it is because Chad would have wanted him to keep going. Like Chad was a very persistent person and would have like wanted it to move ahead. So he's trying to figure out a way to do that respectfully.
Right. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how that goes. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm really interested to see what happens with Black Panther 2 and how they move forward with that. Another movie that I don't think is getting enough attention. There's actually two of them. Is both The Eternals and Shang-Chi. I think are going to be like really, really good, and people are not giving it enough attention. I guess the pandemic, it's easy to like forget about what movies are coming because everything's been delayed 27 times, and it's hard to get excited for anything when you don't really know when they're gonna happen. And like, how's that been for you? How's that been? Like, I mean, for me, I'm a huge movie and television guy, right? Like, I love movies and TV, and they help me like stay not focused, but it helps me on like a day-to-day basis. New content helps me stay motivated and driven, and with the lack of that, it's been hard to stay motivated and driven.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I you know, my life is like movies and TV and entertainment and all that. So, you know, it's I mean, that's the thing that I kind of liked. You know, like when HBO Max came out with the plan of, well, we're going to release our movies on HBO Max too. You know, I know people want the theaters and stuff, and you know, that was a big part for me. I went to the movies like twice a week, you know, before COVID happened. And then that was like, it's been so weird to not go see a movie, but it's nice to see like all these new movies still on HBO and all that. But yeah, it's been an adjustment, you know, but I think that, you know, the studios have been pretty good at keeping content, you know, going. Right. You know, all last year there was different stuff going on. You have the Tiger King and all this other. Oh yeah.
Do you think that guy should be out of jail?
Huh?
Do you think he should be in jail?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because they found out. I think more like that he like actually was like abused some animals and stuff and did some stuff.
All right. So, what was the sentence that guy got? Well, let me look at this up.
Yeah.
I wish when we needed like a producer behind this.
Right. We got
Mac needs to be here or something. I gotta look it up and, you know, take away.
So, I don't know what his sentence was, but I know he's in there for like 20 plus years, I think. Right, maybe I don't know if he got life.
Yeah. Okay, so you're almost dead to rights, right? So so this is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
He was sentenced to 22 years in federal prison. Do you think that's too harsh, or do you think that's just right? And this is. It looks like he didn't even get too much time for the actual animal thing. It was mostly he tried to kill Carol Baskins.
I mean, it's like such a hard thing because it's like, I mean, you did hire the person, but they didn't. You know, she's not dead. You know, she's still.
I don't think she was ever gonna die. Like, I don't think they were ever gonna really kill her. Like,
right.
You know, it just seemed so. Like, the guy that they hired to kill her was like this. Like,
yeah, he was like, "I'm taking off with your money."
Yeah, it seemed like it was like they were gonna play him the whole time. But
right.
So let me share this.
That is funny. Oh, you cool cats and kittens.
Where is it? Here we go. Oh no, he did get some time for the. Okay, so the Tiger King sentenced to 22 years for violence against tigers and people, and Joe Exotic. What was his name? Joseph Maldonado Passage, better known as Joe Exotic, shuffled into federal court in Oklahoma City on Wednesday. This is back in January, though. For sentencing, his hands and feet shackled. He wore an orange prison jumpsuit until his arrest in September 2008. He'd run one of the largest tiger breeding and cub petting and photo op attractions in the U.S., sometimes putting on shows dressed as a Las Vegas-style performer. He was once hailed as the Tiger King, now subdued, yada, yada, yada. Oh, come on, get out of here. Where's the X?
Where's the little, right, you gotta, they make it so, like, invisible. They don't want you to.
I can't get out of this. This is absolutely insanity. There's no way to get out of that. All right, whatever. But yeah, so sentenced to 22 years in federal prison for that. I mean, it just seems a little, for instance, I was watching the White Boy Rick documentary. Do you know who White Boy Rick is? White Boy Rick is
that movie that I saw a movie with Matthew McConaughey. Yeah. Okay, yep.
But the story is way deeper than the movie actually goes into.
Okay.
The kid was 14 years old, and he was recruited by the FBI to be an informant. And he basically worked at the FBI, infiltrated the gangs, certain gangs, and then they turned on him. And once they used and abused him, like the kid didn't even go to school for a while.
Right.
They would tell him, "Oh, you have to go do this for us. Don't go to school today." So he was working for the FBI to like try to help them take down criminals. And once they were finished with him, they pretty much set him up, and then they locked him up for life, for drugs, for a non-violent offense, for life. He ended up getting paroled a couple of years ago. Now he's serving out 5 years for vehicular, he stole a vehicle or whatever. So Grand Theft Auto, he's serving that down in Florida, but he'll get out by 2022. And but he was going to be in jail for life for drugs.
And he was an informant.
And he was an informant, and he was basically set up by the government. And then Gil Hill, who was the mayor of what was it, Detroit? I don't know I forget which town it was or city it was. It's either Detroit or Chicago. I can't remember. One of those two. And they pretty much kept him in jail because they didn't want him to give up. Like, he was like the key to this whole conspiracy that would like incriminate the government, like high officials in the government. So it's a long story, but the kid really didn't do too much wrong. He was a wrong time, wrong place, wrong job, and he got they literally gave him life in prison for something he really didn't do. And I mean, he gained the story gained national attraction every year, and and stuff like that. But I mean, imagine being in prison for life for something that you did because the government asked you to do it. That's crazy.
Oh,
it's
man.
absolutely crazy to me.
It's that's a whole other. You look at like that movie, the Trial of Chicago 7 was like, I didn't know any of that information or I really had no idea. So like to see all of that, how that played out, you had the U.S. senator actually testify against the government and all that, and it's just that's wild.
I've been on like a documentary kick for quite some time now, and like every night I'll try to watch one documentary. And right now I'm watching it's called "This Is a Robbery: The Largest Art Heist," and it takes place in Boston, which is where I live. So it's about there's this museum called the Isabella Gardner Museum, and it's in Dorchester. Still there. But one night, St. Patrick's Day parade is really big in Boston because the Irish and
right.
And during the night before the parade, police are really like there's a heavy police presence in Boston for St. Patrick's Day because it's a drinking day, right? So the police are kind of all
over the place.
all over the place, but they're really like they're not in places that they don't need to be, and that area is one of them where they don't really need to be. And two guys dressed up as police officers robbed a museum for $500 million worth of art, and they still haven't got caught. This is 1990, so
whoa,
I mean, 30 years ago now.
Right. And they got away with it. Wow, $500 million. Do you imagine getting away with $500 million worth?
Yep.
And not getting caught.
The story's wild, though. The story's wild. What they did is they dressed as police officers. Some people think it's an inside job because, like, the way that you got into the museum was like,
too easy.
It was too easy for the two people that robbed the place.
Right.
Because the guards that are there, like, buzz them in, and the protocol is to not let anybody in. Police are not. Like, they have to enter in through two locked doors. Right? So there's like a breezeway almost where you get let in, you get buzzed in, and you're pretty much trapped there.
Right.
Until they buzz you into the second door, which enters the museum.
Right.
So the cops rang the buzzer, and the guard let them in, and they were like, "Oh, we got a call about a disturbance here," and then he buzzed them into the second door. You didn't have to buzz them into the second door.
Right. Right.
Here, let me call and make sure everything's okay, right? But he let him into the second door, and then the cops turned out to not be cops. Put him up against the wall, handcuffed him, duct taped his mouth shut, put him in the basement while they stayed in this museum for 81 minutes robbing the place. Now, in a robbery, 10 minutes feels like an eternity.
Right.
You don't know if the cops are on their way. You don't know.
An hour and a half.
Yeah, an hour and 22 minutes in that museum, carefully disassembling billion-dollar pieces of art. Well, $1 million pieces of art. So it's like I really recommend the documentary. It's on Netflix.
Okay, what's it called?
It's called "This Is a Robbery: The Biggest Art Heist,"
Okay.
and it's fascinating. The authorities think it's they don't think it's just that easy.
Mm-hmm.
The way it happened, the guy that was guarding the place that night, it's like a stoner, like
okay,
had no right to be guarding anything, let alone $1 million.
I mean, right. Oh, that. Oh my gosh.
He could barely guard his weed supply, let alone, pieces of art that were worth 10 times his worth.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a story.
Yeah.
It's
pretty wild. It's pretty wild. But this is something I wanted to talk about today as well. Is do you think that Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie are subtly joining the born for their roles? Like Robert Downey Jr., Hugh Jackman, Chris Evans.
Right.
They're like born to play their characters.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah, I definitely do. I mean, I think Bucky for sure. I think he has. Sebastian Stan, like he's been the character for 10 years.
Yeah.
I think 10 plus years. So I think he's definitely like, and then Sam, I think once he's the new Cap and everything, yeah, it's gonna be like, yeah, I think they're definitely fitting into those roles. I keep hearing though, like this might be the end for Winter Soldier, this movie, like, or this series or whatever. So that would be interesting to see, like, if that's the end. Like, a lot of people are thinking that Winter Soldier, Bucky doesn't make it out of their series alive.
Who said that?
There's a lot of stuff on Twitter that and a lot of people are making predictions that they just don't think Bucky's
out of the series.
Doesn't make it out of the series. That it ends with his death and Sam's the new Cap.
Oh, that would be a total mind screw, because I wouldn't be ready for that. If you didn't just say that,
right,
I wouldn't be close to ready for that. Not even close. Wow,
that would be
that's not good. Now you got me really scared.
Yeah, I mean,
well, okay, but here's the thing. So Sebastian Stan has been Bucky Barnes since 2014. But before that, the movie came out in 2014, The Winter Soldier. So I think, but when I think of the Winter Soldier now, like, you don't think of the comic version anymore. You think of Sebastian Stan, and you think of, so when a character does that, right? When you don't just automatically, comic book fans, I'm not talking about your everyday general audience member who doesn't read any comic books and just knows the movies, right? For them, obviously, when they picture any character in these universes, they tend to go towards the movie versions.
You're right, yeah.
So people like me, Justice, Jack, yourself, other people like us, right? When we think of characters, if the character hasn't earned his sake or his keep, right, in the movies, we tend to think of the comic book character or maybe an animated character, right? Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
For Batman, you think of whoever your favorite Batman is.
Right, exactly. The actor.
Everybody in every sense, and in each scenario. So I do think that when you think Winter Soldier, the typical comic book fan would think Sebastian Stan now. I think he's done a wonderful job as Bucky Barnes in tackling the character's psyche, his motivations, his backstories, his arc, going from pure villain, right? One of the most talked about villains in the Marvel universe, right? Because he was pretty much at large for so long, and people didn't even know if he existed at one point.
Right.
He was like basically in and out before you even knew, right?
Right.
I mean, Sebastian Stan's done a really good job, and I think Anthony Mackie's gonna be there eventually as well. Where people think Falcon, they're gonna think Anthony Mackie. I've always liked Falcon. I've always liked Anthony.
Me too. Yeah, I loved Anthony, especially in Winter Soldier. Well, Winter Soldier for me was like, I didn't like the first Captain America that much.
You're not alone.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Winter Soldier, I was like, this is like my type of movie. It was like fast-paced thriller. It had that like kind of Bourne spy feel to it. And then too, like, like you said, Bucky is such an interesting character because he's one of like the top best Marvel villains, like Loki, Winter Soldier, Killmonger. These were like great Marvel villains with great motivations and like really interesting. And they did a great job, turning him now into, this hero person. He's still dealing obviously with all the psyche of that craziness from being the Winter Soldier, but it would be cool. I would love to see him like fully undertake like the identity of like White Wolf or something, like that.
Right. So, getting back to the Falcon and Winter Soldier thing. So I don't know if you noticed, but I was doing a little digging because I was like, where did I see this kind of thing before? Right, when John Walker kills that guy, where did I see this before? And it was Marvel's Ultimates. It was like an alternate timeline in the comic books where it's on Earth. I believe it's 1610. And things happen differently there, right? Like Captain America's not so great. And like this John Walker, when he brutally beats that guy to death, it really did highly reference that. And I knew I'd seen it before somewhere. And that's where it was. So I think I found an article here. Yes.
I do feel like Marvel is starting to make more use of the comic stuff,
But I mean, this part, I mean, this moment in Falcon and Winter Soldier really did take, like, we had seen things before that were sad or pretty, like, especially Infinity War and Endgame that were darker.
Right.
This was by far the darkest.
Yeah, that's wild. The comic panel of him with the thing, they actually had that shot in there.
Yeah, this is a really, really brutal episode. And so the article is from Screen Rant. And so the John Walker twist recreates a controversial Captain America comics moment. And like I said, okay, yeah, here it is. The John Walker twist in the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 4 references similarly shocking and controversial Captain America stories from the Marvel Comics Ultimate Universe, Earth 1610. At the end of The Whole World Is Watching, Walker, who had dosed himself with the super soldier serum, brutally beats a man to death in a scene surprisingly gruesome for the MCU. The moment firmly establishes that John Walker is unfit to be Captain America, but also makes a commentary on the ethics of military-sanctioned violence. The shots are framed in a manner reminiscent of scenes from Mark Millar's The Ultimates run, which similarly provoked questions on Captain America and morality. And then it goes on to talk about what happened in the episode, and like it's that panel. So, but that one from the comics in which he has the shield like up in the air, and he's about to, with that wild face where like he's like,
that intense, that's
crazy. I think I have other thing here. We had it yesterday, right? We used it yesterday.
Yeah, I think you had it yesterday. Yeah, you did. Yeah, that like rage face.
Yeah, I think I deleted it or something. I don't know. It's not here. Yeah, it's gone. I don't know where it went.
Well, here we go.
forgot I had this.
Here's a question: Do you think now a lot of people are responding to this? A lot of people are saying they're liking that Marvel is going down this path. They're getting darker and all that. Do you think with all all the buzz and all people talking about it and liking it, do you think this opens the door for Marvel to do some more, maybe like an R-rated Marvel something, or besides Deadpool, which they already said is going to be,
Yeah, so I do think, but this just goes to show you that audiences are ready for a darker take on these characters, and they're ready for things like the Snyder Cut, right?
Right.
We see how popular the Snyder Cut is amongst fans right now, and it's by no means a lighthearted movie.
Right? No.
It is at some points.
I mean, there's definitely more humor than I thought was going to be in it.
Sure.
I really was surprised, but it worked. So the humor in this, you laugh at it, where the other one is just so forced and misplaced.
Yeah. It goes to show you that what Warner Brothers looked at, Warner Brothers is looking at the original Justice League and says, no,
right,
this is not something we can do. I'm sorry, we have to change Justice League.
Right.
Audiences, they think Warner Brothers at this point thinks audiences aren't ready to see dark and gloomy or realistic, right?
Right.
And they change it, whatever. We get the Whedon cut. It's all whatever. It's in the past now.
Right.
But we just saw Marvel take a step towards something we had never expected that they would do.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, it was really gruesome. But it wasn't, we didn't see like a severed head or anything like that. But the way they shot it, I mean, exactly what happens, and you see the aftermath of it, and in your head, you kind of put it all together, right? Oh my God, Captain America just literally decapitated that dude with a shield.
Yep.
It takes a lot of strength to literally break someone's head off with just a metal spherical object. It's not sharp, like it's not razor sharp. It didn't just come off. He had to do it multiple times. It kind of reminded me of that Kingpin scene in Daredevil where he's slamming the guy's head with the door over and over.
Yep.
And you're just sitting there,
See that, and that's the type of stuff, like for me, that Marvel and Daredevil, that stuff like killed it. That was like, oh man, this is what I'm into. That darker, intense, just adult universe. I mean, like it's cool. You grow up with these characters and stuff, but as you grow up with these characters and you grow up, you want to see them in the same, those adult situations that you're getting into yourself. You want to see them in those moments, and so I think Marvel's starting to realize that now and starting to, well, hopefully I would love to see some other darker stuff, maybe like the Deadpool. Do you think they're gonna keep all that canon, the Deadpool and or not Deadpool, Daredevil and Jessica Jones and
I don't know how you do it. I mean, I do know how you do it. You just don't touch it. But you could never like reference it. Like you couldn't show it ever again. Because the property isn't theirs, right? Like the actual footage isn't theirs. They could try to create it in some fashion, but they couldn't use any of that stuff, and because Netflix owns it, right?
Right.
So I don't know how that contract works. Like, could they mention things that happened? Could they, do whatever? I don't know how that. I don't know how that works.
Well, because there's the rumor that Charlie Cox is in Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man,
or potentially even She-Hulk.
Right.
He's a lawyer and she's a lawyer, and it would make sense for them to cross paths at some point. I mean,
exactly.
I don't know if that does actually make sense. I mean, I'm assuming all lawyers don't know each other.
Yeah.
That's like a very naive thing to think, right? That's like saying like, oh, Tyler's white. He knows every white person on the
planet. Yeah. I'm sure Tyler's come across, Eminem or something sometimes.
I do think this opens the door for darker takes, and I do think this is going to change. I think that scene was Marvel testing the waters.
Right.
See how people react or take on anything. And
Yeah.
Disney Plus might become a place where rated R things are okay. And maybe, there are little kids who have access to Disney Plus. Maybe you have to enter a password to get into it or
Right.
whatever. But I do think it was Marvel testing the waters and seeing that darker things or more realistic approaches are what audiences are ready for at this point. So I do think that they took a chance, and I think it worked out for them.
I agree.
I know that I didn't. I know now because I was staying away from it at the time. But now since I watched it, I went back and people were like up in arms. They were talking about this scene over and over again, right? Like how that last episode ended and they're on the edges of their seat.
Yeah.
They want to know exactly what happens next. So I do think this is going to change the landscape of the Marvel universe. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real
quick on the topic of films and stuff. Georgia just passed that new law. Then they just announced this morning Will Smith and Antoine. I can't pronounce his last name. The guy that directed Training Day. They were going to do a movie, him and Will Smith in Georgia, but now they're pulling out. A bunch of productions are pulling out of Georgia.
Yeah,
because of
laws, right?
Right.
What is the law?
I'm looking at some voting. It's a voting restriction or something. Let's see here. Let's see. What is the law though?
Because I'd heard about this before, but that's gonna rock productions because Georgia Peach is they work very closely with Marvel Studios. A lot of places, a lot of productions use Georgia for filming on location or in studio, and that's gonna be. I mean, what's that gonna do? Is we're gonna get more delays.
So the law shortens. Oh yeah, I mean it's gonna be huge. Marvel has so much stuff that shoots in Georgia. But the law, it says the rule shortens the duration of absentee voting, requiring absentee voters to produce identification, limit the use of drop boxes, and make it a crime to hand out free food or water to voters standing in line. Wow.
That's it.
That's
what's that about then? I don't get it. Maybe I heard it wrong. All I'm hearing is that you can't give out water to people in line that are voting,
right.
And that they have to produce identification upon voting.
Yep. Limit the use of drop boxes. That's the other thing.
I don't know what that means though.
Yeah.
Maybe if someone knows a little bit more about that, drop it in the comments if you do know. And maybe I'm not hearing it correctly, but what it sounded like was you have to give an ID when you vote, and you can't get free water.
Right.
I don't know why that's a big deal, but I mean, I every time I voted, I had to give my ID.
Yeah.
Someone never gave me water or food when I was
Right.
Maybe there's probably something that we're not seeing. It doesn't seem like it seems that maybe in Georgia, there's a lot of people without ID. And we know that the Georgia population in the southern population tends to be, has a lot of African American descendants, persons of color. So maybe there's some correlation there between IDs and because I've heard that before. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know though. So I don't really want to comment too much on it because I don't know too much about it. So it sucks that productions are being pulled though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know more about it.
I mean, whatever it is, whatever.
Because we'll
said that it's going to affect Georgia in a pretty massive way.
Yeah, I mean, the production companies, like, so say film, a lot of, like, for instance, Boston has a big film community now, right? If that were to just stop,
right,
that would hurt a lot of people. And in Georgia, it's probably like 10 10 times more.
Right.
The amount of people. So if companies start pulling out of there, that's going to affect jobs.
The new Indiana Jones just pulled out. Wow, I just saw that. The new Indiana Jones was going to shoot there. He's not going to shoot there anymore.
Oh my God.
That's the other thing. Did you see they have the cast what's her name? Phoebe Bridges? Is that what her name? I think Indiana Jones' new daughter or something.
Oh, I did see something about that. That she's gonna be in the movie.
Right, Phoebe.
I didn't catch that. You're cutting out a little bit.
Well,
you cut out a little bit. What was that?
Oh, yeah, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She's gonna be the new lead for Indiana Jones 5.
She's gonna be
She's got that show, I think.
She's gonna be the lead.
The lead
So Indiana Jones
with Harrison Ford.
The lead character anymore.
Maybe they're gonna.
Is it like Savannah, Georgia?
Yeah,
yeah, that's a bad take on it, right? Savannah, Georgia. I get it. But
I don't.
Name is it something that's catchy?
They haven't said. They just said she's the new female lead. I don't know what that means. Is that I guess maybe they're gonna get rid of Ford like they did.
Harrison Ford's getting a little bit too old for these action-packed movies,
right?
So, and that's no offense to him. Everybody gets it one day, but he maybe this is gonna be the movie where he kind of like The Force Awakens, where he kind of left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's probably wants his character to die off.
Yeah. I love whenever he gets interviewed about anything Star Wars, and like he's just the most blunt person. They're like, "Oh, like did you are you interested in this?" He's like, "No, I don't care."
Yeah.
Like he has no fucks. Literally does not care about Star Wars at all.
Oh
Definitely just did it for the paycheck.
Oh yeah, they're like, "How did it feel to come back?"
He's like, "Yeah, I don't really know. I don't care. I just,
They said they were gonna kill me, and I was like, "That's what I wanted." Yes.
He's got the best takes on everything.
He's
a real person. I love it.
He's such a serious guy. Have you seen those like deep fakes of him and George Lucas talking about the the new trilogy and all that?
No.
Oh my gosh, they're the funniest thing.
There's something else I had that I wanted to. There's something else. What else you got?
Let's see. This morning, Tom Hiddleston made some comments on the new Loki show.
Oh, that's another one I'm excited for.
Yeah.
I think that I don't think people are sleeping on that one. I think that one's gonna be a rager. Like I think it's gonna like the ratings are gonna just.
That's gonna be huge. Yeah.
Big. And people are gonna be so excited to see Loki get his own series and the way it will tie into the overall universe. Now that we're seeing with like how WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier, how they're tying into the main universe and pulling from it.
Right.
When we saw the Loki trailer and like they're mentioning Heimdall and Thor, like there really is a potential for those guys to show up in maybe in small scenes, like things that happen, really quickly, and it's over like in one episode. But I mean, the sky is the limit at this point.
Right. And people I think
excited.
Right. And people I think they're wanting to go back now, to that WandaVision was on the edge of your seat every week and talking all this a lot of crazy stuff, it wasn't as grounded as Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I think people are looking forward to that because Loki's seems like it's gonna be that, it's gonna be a lot of weird, crazy stuff.
Right.
But he basically said this morning, he said show's gonna talk like about identity and integrating the different fragments of the many selves Loki can be. And then he talks about how Loki is like the quintessential shapeshifter. So that's another thing I'm like really excited to see is them do, because Marvel never really got into like the Loki that like manipulates people and like is super deceiving. Like he's known as like he's the best liar in the world. He's the and so Right. Got it. Exactly. So that's what I'm excited is to see them. They get to go back now since it's the Loki from the original Avengers, the first Avengers. They get to go back and take that, attitude and that character that he had then and hopefully apply, some of those things that we didn't get to see in his first appearances.
Right. And I mean, so on a scale of 1 to 10, or I mean, rate the show. Like what are you excited for the most out of Marvel coming up? We got She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel, Loki. I mean, there's so many more, but like let's keep it to a minimum. So
Right.
Ms. Marvel,
Okay.
Loki,
We got and
Moon
Hawkeye,
Knight.
and we got
And
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
Yep.
So which one of those are your favorite? Which one do you want to see the most?
I think right now Loki. I really, Loki's like that's my top. The second I would go is Hawkeye. I love Jeremy Renner as
I think
Hawkeye.
that's gonna be a good show. I think it's gonna be realistic, and down to earth.
Right. I mean, it's him with his daughter. It's him and Kate, or him and Kate Bishop,
Yeah. So it's him and his like replacement. Like,
right.
And I think that's gonna have like a sense of realism to it, and people are gonna really like attach to that in a fatherly, daughterly way, and they're really gonna like it. But I think Ms. Marvel is gonna surprise a lot of people. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think
I'm not too excited for it, but I hope.
And I know that sounds like I don't know if you've ever watched it, but have you watched Stargirl?
No.
Stargirl is a very high schooly take on that, like the characters, right? Like
right.
the universe is very high schooly. It's very dramatic, but it's also really good. And I thought it was done really well. And I enjoy Stargirl for what it is. And I think Ms. Marvel's gonna be like that, but better. And I think it's gonna be really fun to watch this young girl transition into a superhero after envying superheroes for so long, right?
Yep.
So I'm really interested in that. I'm also really interested in She-Hulk because it's a new Hulk, and I'm really interested on how they'll do that, how much Mark Ruffalo will be in that show, and what they'll do with the dynamic between the cousins. So,
right. And then but and then when you mentioned it, they had the videos for Oscar Isaac's Moon Knight training, so that got me excited for Moon Knight more. Seeing him do the choreography and all that training looked pretty sick, and it looked pretty brutal too. So I was like,
I think, and then Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke were spotted in Budapest the other day together. So will Ethan Hawke be making an appearance?
Well, yeah, they already announced Ethan Hawke is the villain.
Oh yeah, Ethan Hawke is the villain. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all right, yeah. Ethan Hawke is the villain. My God.
Yep.
See, that's how much I pay attention right now. All right. So, have you watched Supernatural?
I've seen like a few episodes, but I haven't. Yeah.
But Jensen Ackles is the star of Supernatural, right?
Right.
Him and Jared Padalecki, and the Supernatural is over. Breaks my heart, but it is over. And Jensen is now joining the boys, and for all us Supernatural fans out there, they ready. I want to show you something. So Jensen is almost unrecognizable in this picture. And this is what he's going to look like in the boys.
Don't tell me, is this his first look?
Like not Jensen Ackles. I'll show you what Jensen Ackles looks like. That's what Jensen Ackles looks like, right? And then we get this thing, the grizzled, absolutely grizzled. So, I mean, my God, it's just a completely different person.
He'd make a good Wolverine, it looks like.
Yeah, so he's also doing the voice for
Batman.
Batman in the Long Halloween. I don't think people give Jensen Ackles a lot of credit, but look at this guy. Look at this. Look at this guy. It's absolutely. I've never seen him look like this. The
Wow.
hair, like I don't know if you know who Soldier Boy is.
So that's gonna be his look for Soldier Boy?
That's what people are saying. Yes.
That's sick.
So Jensen Ackles took to his Instagram stories to give fans an update on his quarantine beard. The photo was a response to wife Danielle Ackles' comment on Neil Patrick Harris' Instagram post where he was cleaning his bathroom while shirtless during quarantine. The One Tree Hills alum comment was demanding shirtless Canadian quarantine content immediately from her husband, and he delivered. And this is he's shooting the boys right now.
Right.
So people only assume that this is what he is going to look like.
Wow.
And I don't know if anyone noticed what Soldier Boy looks like. Soldier Boy from The Boys, but it's not like that. That's for sure.
It's not.
1 second.
Okay, so it'll be a different look from what's in the comics.
Yeah, but it might be a long. Who knows what it is? You know, it could be down the road, or maybe he's retired at one point. But this is kind of what he looks like in The Boys. 1 second. So this is what he looks like in the comic books or the graphic novels, and
wow,
it's really the resemblance to Captain America is obviously there, right?
Right.
And I think the story of the funny story of how did they make his eyes look like that?
Right. Yeah. The way. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, Soldier Boy is definitely a clear ripoff on Captain America.
Right.
And, there's some graphic sexual things in there with Homelander, so I'm interested to see if they go that route.
Right. I think they did mention that they were going to do some pretty wild stuff. They were going to do.
So basically, Homelander solicits sex from Soldier Boy,
right,
in order for him to get into the boys. But that's kind of what they did with Starlight.
Right. Exactly.
So I don't know if they're gonna. Oh God, she's gorgeous.
Right.
That outfit too, man. My lord. But I don't know if they'll do that now with Jensen, because it seems redundant.
Yeah, we did it. Right.
To do it again. But I'm really interested to see where. I mean, do you like The Boys? Are you a The Boys fan?
Yeah, I haven't read the comics, but I love the show on Amazon.
I didn't read the graphic novels at all.
Yeah. But the show's phenomenal. Like I think it's like one of the best.
Talk about dark takes on things.
Right, exactly. That's why I like it. But it's like it feels like it's made superhero show for adults.
Like, all right, friend. Okay, let's talk about The Boys for a little bit.
Okay.
Because The Boys has revolutionized the way superhero content can be. And I know that we always say this about any rated R superhero content that ever comes out, right? Oh, it's changed the landscape of superhero content. For the most part, we're in new territory every single time. That's why, right? But The Boys has really done something different. I mean, at one point, Homelander's getting, I don't know how to say this, PG. He's getting pleasured, and he's holding a villain's head against the wall. And when he climaxes, he pushes the guy's head and explodes it.
Right.
That's just one little scene in The Boys, right? Where he ejaculates and bursts someone's head.
Right, exactly.
That's a consistent thing that you see throughout the series. Is just these wild,
crazy,
insanely violent things, and they're always testing the line. And I think it is. Really shown, it's paved the way for how far you can go.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is you can go as far as you want.
Yeah. Yep.
As long as it's tasteful and it fits into the story in some way, shape, or form. As long as you're doing something that's not directly racist, directly violent towards like any protected groups or anything like that. I know that's the world we live in, and you just have to take it for what it is. but that's the truth, right? We don't want to offend anybody. That's what them is going through right now, right? We talked about that last night. Them is being criticized for being too violently racist and dark against persons of color or something like that. And it's taken a lot of heat, but that's another Amazon show. So Amazon is really testing the waters on what they can do, what they can't do. And I think The Boys is it's a really good reminder on R-rated content that is R-rated, obviously for its mature content, but it's not like it's like gonna offend anybody unless you're like, a real soft person.
Yeah, exactly.
It won't really offend you. You just know that that's this world.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm excited for season 3. I think season 3. This series has gotten better.
Oh yeah, it does. It gets better. This season, this last season was really, really good. And it's one of those that it's like, it's wow. The first season was great. The second season was, oh my gosh. The third, it's just gonna keep getting better, and especially with like the additions that they're gonna have, and I'm just excited. I think I love Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. Their takes on it. There's another show, I don't know if you've seen it, Invincible.
Yeah, so that actually just recently fixed some of the problems in The Boys, without knowing that it was going to fix the problems. But I'll talk about that at another time, because I don't want to spoil Invincible for anybody. If you do want to go watch it, definitely go take a look, and we'll talk about it probably in like a week or two. But cool. Invincible is, so you can go ahead.
Oh yeah, well, Invincible, it's again kind of like a adult, like Stargirl. It's this guy in high school. It's very dramatic. He's dealing with relationships. He's dealing with all the things a normal high schooler would be dealing with, and he's also a superhero. And his dad is kind of training him and mentoring him into this role. And it starts out with this kind of like, okay, cool, coming of age superhero story that you're like, this is gonna be kind of cool. And then it just takes this complete turn and twist and hooks you, and the whole show you're wondering and asking questions, and it's really, really, for me, I mean it's one of the best animated series I've seen comic book wise ever. I liked it. I liked the first episode so much I went and bought a few issues of the comics to get into it.
Right. And Invincible's a weird story, but it's it's a good story. So if you haven't seen the first episode of Invincible, it's on Amazon right now. If you want to go check it out, I thought it did a wonderful job. And I'm not an animated person. I really dislike animated movies and animated things. Yeah, it gives me like a headache to watch. All the bright colors and the animation. It's just not my thing.
Right.
The DC animated universe is really as far as I go with animation. But Invincible, it's like kind of like, it's not set in that same world as The Boys, but it is. It's supposed to be, at least, I think.
Right.
Set in that world. What's up? What's popping, man? What's up, Katsuka? At least we got some people here finally that are willing to talk. God damn.
That's right. Here we go.
It's been here for a Sunday night and a Monday morning, and those are by far definitely analytically not the best, I suppose.
Right.
But what's up, guys? The Movie Dogs. By the way, to the Movie Dogs, May 1st, yes, is a yes for me. It's a yes for me, dog. Filmmaking has gotten soft, and it's not like it was from the 70s and 80s where the director could hit you in the gut with the subject matter. But do you agree with that, or do you not agree with that?
I mean, I agree. It's definitely taken a step back, I think. Again, with the cancel culture, with all that, people have, I think, it's definitely not as in your face as, I mean, you do see it. Some of these movies now have warnings that are like the subject matter or the whatever content.
That's a problem.
Yeah,
that warning someone about it, I don't think is a problem.
Yeah, no.
I think that if the content isn't right for you, and then you make us think about it and try to get it canceled, I think that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? If they directly warn you, hey, this content might be sensitive for some viewers,
Right.
and you're a type that knows that you're sensitive, maybe you should follow the warning. Right?
Exactly. No, I agree. I don't think the warning is. Yeah, I don't think the warning is a problem at all. But you know, but I think it does show. You know, now we have to warn people where for how many years that, you know, Gone with the Wind has been out that we didn't warn anybody. You know, like
right. Or like Archie Bunker or any of those old sitcom characters that
exactly.
Or raw, like straight raw. And I grew up watching Archie Bunker and you know, what is it? The color. God. See, these shows are all so old to me. But I grew up watching them because that's what my mother and my father watched. You know?
Right.
They loved that. What the hell was that show called? In Living Color. Sorry.
In Living Color. Okay, yeah.
All those shows that, I mean, these characters were characters. They were people. That's how people were, and that's how people still are, but don't want to admit it.
Exactly.
And that's the problem is we all pretend to be these fake people. Like I'm not saying that we're all racist or we're all like sexist or whatever, but like there are some people that are still like that, and they have to hide it, and I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right that we are limiting what people are what they can say or what they could do, or you know, we can take away their income because we don't like that their views.
Right.
If you go out and you physically harm someone, that's it. Right.
Yeah.
Words, I really don't think, like, I do have a problem with it. I have a problem with limiting speech and stuff like that. And that's the topic for a different time. But I do think audiences are definitely different now. And we have to watch out. We do. We have to watch out because if you know, blinking, all of a sudden we're going to blink and nothing will be allowed to be rated R ever again.
Exactly.
Right? Ever again.
Exactly.
Ever again. No rated R. No, nothing past PG can be out there because you might offend this group, and this group. And we can't take that chance as a studio because we're in the money-making business and we can't afford to lose that money, that audience, or whatever.
I mean, it almost feels like the studios are taking a step back. You look at, like, this is the way things were in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, you know, movies where you couldn't do certain things. You couldn't have two people sleeping in the same bed in a movie for years, you know, and because it was, people would be offended. People would get, you know, and so it's almost like, are we taking a step back now? Are we going back to that?
Do you think Gina Carano should have been fired?
It's one of those
weird one.
It's one of those things. I personally do not agree with what she did or what she said.
I don't agree with it either.
I
don't agree with that woman at all with anything that she says. But do I believe that she should have been fired? Is a different story.
Exactly.
It really is.
I mean, you know, look, I don't, like I said, I'm just like she put it out there. What her opinion is, we're putting it out there that we don't agree.
Right.
You know, it's her right. It's her right. And at the end of the day, I try when I don't look at the character and how she plays it, you know, oh, that's her political whatever. Right. You know, I think she does a good job playing the character.
Yeah, she does.
I enjoy the way she plays the character, and I was looking forward to seeing more of that character, you know. Yeah. So it's one of those things. I think, you know, everybody, you know, can come out and say, hey, we don't agree with you. But yeah, I think for her to lose her job over it, I don't.
I mean, Disney is a private company, and I'm sure that they have something in their contracts that say, especially nowadays, that say if you harm the look of Disney, then we can terminate your
or if you're causing, right.
But should that be in a contract these days is the real issue.
I guess I think it kind of has to be, because depending on the company you're working for,
Right.
certain companies maybe don't need, look, McDonald's doesn't need something like, they don't have their one guy that's tweeting he's a Trump supporter or whatever isn't really affecting McDonald's that much,
right.
But yeah, I guess.
Sorry, I just had but like a million times in a row. But just the same way that people don't associate that guy with McDonald's just because he works there, should that also, does it matter? Should we also apply that to Gina Carano? Why is her personal views affect Disney at all when she's
Right.
not acting? I mean, but the show was going on. I don't know. It's weird waters, and I guess we just have to be careful now, because in the future, once we give this power up, we rarely get it back.
Right, exactly.
Rarely ever get it back.
And I mean,
your freedom of speech, or once you let someone limit what you say, that the person rarely gives that power back.
Exactly. And it's like you said, it's just such a, I mean, you don't, it's like the James Gunn thing too. Marvel, got him for things that he said in 2010, and then
kind of
brought him back.
What was in the beginning of the Suicide Squad trailer?
From the horribly beautiful mind of yeah.
Weird. Is that not weird?
Oh yeah.
To like market that.
To address it, yeah.
Straight up, right? Address it.
Right, yeah. In the trailer.
In the trailer. Right in your face. They're pretty much slapping you.
Well, I mean,
horribly beautiful mind of James Gunn. This guy, the same guy that tweeted all those things.
Right,
we hired him to do this movie, and we're gonna market him as this crazy, beautiful genius.
Right. I mean, did he ever say? I don't think he ever said anything against Marvel. No, so maybe
he never said anything against Marvel, but
maybe that was his
really pedophilic tweets from back in the day. But it was comedy. It was comedic. He wasn't telling the truth about himself.
Right.
He did say some questionable things, but again, they were just jokes, and that at the time, they were acceptable jokes. Yep. Now, not acceptable.
Right. Yeah.
Be punished for something you said 20 years ago, because people aren't taking the decade into consideration at that point. They're not saying to themselves, well, Archie Bunker was also on air at that time.
Right.
So yeah, obviously it was a different day and age, and people would say these things. Was it correct? Was it right? No. You can't say it anymore.
Right.
But we can't punish them for saying it at a time when we didn't punish them at that
right.
time.
Yeah, well, exactly.
There should be like a statute of limitations on social media posts.
Exactly. And that's the thing, I guess it also, depends on how much of a following you have, how many people, or, how influential you are, that you have to, be careful of these certain things. And I guess companies have to be aware of, same thing with all these YouTubers, all these companies endorse a YouTuber or an influencer, and then they screw up and they pull out immediately and all this, all this. So it's an interesting thing,
Oh yeah, for calling in, guys, I can give you the so we have to do it differently on here. I can't do it with the phone number, but I can send out the link to log into the show. You just don't turn your camera on if you don't want to, and you can do it that way, and we'll do it one at a time. I'll send you guys the login now. But guys, keep going.
But yeah, trying to think what else. Let's see.
All right, I sent it out. yeah, so there should be like a statute of limitations on social media posts, and we wouldn't punish people for things they said 20 years ago on the internet, especially when the internet was so new and there was such little regulation of it at that time, but then again, like these social media companies, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, in a way, they're becoming more of a right than a privilege. They're the way that people, especially right now, we're looking at a pandemic, and this is the way people are speaking to each other. This is the way people are interacting with each other on a day-to-day basis. It's becoming part of freedom of speech to use Twitter, to use Facebook, and that's going to have to be looked at very soon. Not saying it right now, but these companies, yeah, they're privately owned companies, but they're becoming more of a right than a privilege. Right. And that's going to be a weird discussion to have when the government steps in and says, look, everyone in the world is on these platforms. We have to regulate it differently because you're not doing a good job of it. And that's going to be an awkward conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, do you think, have you ever seen the movie The Social Network?
Oh yeah.
Like, what's his name? The
Facebook
guy?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, it's like a robot. He's not even a real human being, I don't think. Oh my, for real though, that's another topic. That guy's definitely not a human. But,
no.
But we'll move on, I suppose. Like that guy wouldn't even give the dude that helped him make Facebook credit. You think he's gonna let the government try to like regulate his site?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the government's gonna have to step in and by force or something.
Oh yeah, they're gonna have to.
I mean, the next world war will be fought digitally.
That's interesting.
Definitely a weird thing.
That's interesting.
It already is being fought digitally.
Right.
And data dumps and email, like the email hacks on the DNC and stuff like that. It's World War III is going on. It's just not at the forefront of our minds.
Right. Oh yeah, I mean all these. I mean, you look at even the Sony hacking a few years ago and all these different things.
That directly plays into what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
They almost weren't allowed to play that movie.
Right.
Because North Korea was saying, "Go ahead, play it."
Yeah, well, nuclear do.
North Korea was flexing on the United States, and for the first time, we felt the heat.
Right.
Really, the first time we felt the heat about it. It was like, shit, we don't want to play this movie.
Right.
They altered the ending.
Did they?
Yeah, the part where Kim Jong-un blows up, that's altered. It's less violent than it was supposed to be.
Supposed to be? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And it was all right. It was pretty violent to begin with.
Right. It was
violent after the fact, but it was more violent before they altered it. And yeah, man. And that was like the Sony hack was literally because of that.
Right.
Because that movie was made.
Because it was made, exactly.
They hacked us. They hacked.
I remember. I remember they had to do it where like they released it online. They could only release it online. I watched it.
Yeah, it got released via Google.
Right. Yeah, I watched it on that.
Yeah, the first way that you could watch it was Google, and then soon after that, soon after it was already out there, Amazon picked it up, and I believe Netflix. Maybe Netflix picked it up. I don't know.
I think Netflix did. Yeah.
But it got picked up after the fact, because they were like, all right, well, clearly, like, it's out there already, so might as well try to make a buck off of it.
Right.
And that was a really weird time.
That was. I remember that. That was
a weird time. I don't get what this means, by the way. I don't care that you broke your elbow. What does that mean? Please clarify. I didn't break my elbow. I do have to use the bathroom though, so if anyone wants to call in, definitely do that, so I can go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Wild things.
Speaking of which, I guess while you're in the bathroom, they released this morning some more Godzilla and Kong numbers. Right, yeah, another day, another no Justice League numbers. So they said, I guess Warner Brothers, they made a deal with Legendary that obviously was going to go on HBO Max and in theaters at the same day. Obviously, Warner Brothers, when they did that, they lost some money. They had to pay Legendary some money because, you know,
up front, they were going to sue them.
Right, they were going to sue them. So apparently Warner Brothers, from the theater profits and from Godzilla streaming and stuff, they made enough off of it to pay back Legendary completely and make $100 million profit off the film.
Woo!
So, thanks HBO and Warner Brothers for giving us the info we didn't want.
Now give us the info we do want.
Exactly, yeah.
So we do have producer Jack stepping in here.
Oh, cool. Oh,
look at him, unshaved and
unshaved. Well,
Karen.
I've been dealing with a bit of a head cold the last day or so, and this morning it seemed to break. But I woke up, I saw you guys, I was like, oh, I got to join the conversation because I saw the whole thing about political. Are you guys off the political correctness thing?
No, man,
we can still go back to it.
Okay, Austin, nice to meet you. I'm so sorry. It's been a bad weekend. Not bad, just crazy. Welcome.
Thank you.
So
it's the morning podcast. We can do whatever we want.
Wherever we want. Yeah. There we go. I'm going to take my clothes off now. Let's get some Howard Stern stuff up in here. Get freaky. It's funny because you were mentioning, like, look, we talk about Gina. You guys talking about Gina Carano. Right. I'm slightly older than you guys, so I remember the idea that, hey, a corporation has the right to hire and fire someone based on their beliefs. Used to be a right-wing position. That was the Dick Cheney position that, hey, if you're gay and our company doesn't like it, we can fire you. In fact, these were actual cases that happened. There was a movie they made called Philadelphia with Tom Hanks, when this was an actual issue. Like, yeah, if we're a company, we don't feel comfortable with you being gay or a lesbian, we can fire you.
Right.
It seems like these, I always say there's a difference. Almost shifted. I kind of worry about the political correctness culture. Like when Gina Carano got fired, the first thing that I thought was, I'm like, it's because she's a Republican. Like, I really don't care. I don't like the Republican Party that much. But I was like, that's still not fair.
But you also believe that there's a right that they can exist.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They can exist. But like, I think what the word with cancel culture is, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to get a little political, not without taking sides. A couple of things happened in the last election. So like Biden won, right? Mm-hmm. The Democrats lost 15 seats in the House. That was not supposed to happen. The Republicans lost nothing. They got the 2 seats in the Senate barely. Donald Trump won almost the second most highest votes ever for a presidential candidate. And everyone for the last 4 years were like, well, how did he do this? It was the Russians. It was QAnon. It was this. I said, no, it's the political correctness thing. I think that the Democrats have won 2020, but are probably going to lose the House and Senate in 2022 because of stuff like this. Mm-hmm. People don't care about policy, left or right. What they like is to be able to live their lives. And look, I'm rooting for Biden a lot, but when Biden said, if we keep doing the vaccines, you'll be able to have people over for barbecues, I was like, ooh, he shouldn't have said that. Because when you start saying, like, we can tell you who can come to your house,
gets really sticky.
That's where it gets sticky. And especially when the government says for your own good. Now, the intention behind that is fair. We didn't have anyone over our house during the first lockdown, like friends, family, or whatever. But like, if I have someone over for a barbecue, just like, besides the point. But like, I think there's going to be a real big pushback. And I think stuff like this creates more Republicans. Not that the Republicans are appealing, but because people are going to be like, okay, so if this is what you're about, I'm going to jump to the other side. They're not going to care about policy or tax issues or foreign policy. They're thinking about what's going to make my life more difficult,
Just to get into that a little bit, over here on the West Coast side, California is a big topic of conversation because they literally, in Thanksgiving, the governor came out with a whole list of guidelines. Mm-hmm. You can only have a certain amount of people over for Thanksgiving. Your Thanksgiving has to be outside. Everyone inside has to wear a mask. I mean, like, these were like, it was like, you can't really tell anybody what to do, and they're in their own house, right?
And that's what's scary.
Right. Understood we're under restriction. Understood we're in a pandemic. Understood. But this was like full on infringement, and obviously he didn't come out and say we're going to arrest you if you do, but it was like, what are you going to do if I do this stuff? You know, like what? So I think it does become like, and also because of that, people are flocking out of California. You know, they're leaving because they don't agree with that stuff.
Not only that, the taxes in California are ridiculous, and so you see people moving to red states now. Texas moving to Florida, although Florida flips back and forth, but you're seeing people leave because they don't like the tax brackets. And you've heard some people say, well, maybe we should punish these people for leaving. I'm like, whoa, like, you know, put a tax on them if they decide to leave a blue state to go to a red state. I'm like, you know, that kind of stuff kind of scares me. So like going back to like the Gina Carano thing, the comparison she made, I didn't agree with. But I was like, all right, that's her opinion. Like, you know, she was on, what's that guy's name? Ben Shapiro's show, and she explained it. I'm like, I didn't get a negative, like angry, kind of like Ann Coulter. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ann Coulter. I didn't get that vibe from her. What she was basically saying was like, okay, I was just saying that like before they started, you know, rounding up and killing Jews, they said do this thing called otherism. Like that's the other side. And that's different. And they're like this and whatever. And the thing was, Pedro Pascal had made a similar conversation when because the kids were being kept in cages. He was comparing that to what happened to Jewish children. But because that was the correct political point, he doesn't get in trouble. I'm not saying he should get in trouble. And what happened with James Gunn was just stupid. Like, and I give props to Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is like, hey, they're firing you. We'll hire you.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
You want to make an R-rated Suicide Squad movie with no holds barred? He's like, yeah, sure. And but like the whole woke thing, like I agree with the ends, which is like, okay, you know, we should be more fair to people because there's a lot of anti-trans stuff, this stuff. But like, we're getting to a point where, like, let's say if I criticize someone who is considered a minority, whether they're a person of color, like you and I are, that means, oh, it's automatically racist. And I'm like, well, maybe it's not. You know, does every person who's mean to me or rude to me a racist? No, maybe they just don't like me. That's fair. And, you know, and I talked a little bit, I don't know if you saw my thing with the Ray Fisher article.
I did
not really feel that what he was saying about Jeff Johns was 100% race-based. Like he's convinced because that's how he feels. And you guys were saying earlier, like about the warnings. I'm not against warnings. Like my family, we're from East Asia, right? I'm very careful about watching a movie with them. If there's like a lot of sex and nudity, they come from a culture where that's not comfortable to watch that, you know? So I'm like, oh, this movie looks good, but there's strong sexual content. I'll pick something else. You know what I mean? But so I'm not against that. What I am against is like when people say they're oversensitive. I think to some degree, because our generation, like our grandparents' generation, they had World War II. Parents' generation maybe had Vietnam. They had stuff they went through. I think as a people, especially in the U.S., we're very soft. Now, soft doesn't mean you have to become a jerk or a douche or whatever. What I'm saying is, if you don't like something, then just don't watch it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Today, it's like, I don't like this. This needs to be taken down. And they're already censoring episodes of TV shows, you know.
Right. Everybody takes things so personally, and they turn into, oh, you know, I don't agree with that. I'm done watching that, or I'm done. It's like, I don't know. For me, it's hard for me to find things to boycott unless it's like really, you know, like.
Okay, I'll give you an example. I'm a devout Catholic, right? There are certain episodes of South Park that kind of make you feel uncomfortable. I didn't stop watching South Park. I skipped that episode.
Right.
Even though it's actually pretty funny.
Look, growing up, you know, I was raised Christian, Catholic, and so Family Guy was my favorite show, right? They're like, they love it
because they're all atheists, and that's fine. I get a kick out of it. They did one episode where like
Jesus comes back for and becomes friends with Peter, I think is one of my
favorites. I died laughing at that. Right. But like, for example, one of my favorite episodes of South Park was the one where they made fun of Family Guy.
Right.
They took those down. They're not on HBO Max. They were some of the first episodes I wanted to watch. I was like, where'd they go? They took them down because in that episode, they imply that they're going to show the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Like, you know, they actually never did. But they were going to, like, you know, there's actually a part where Mr. Garrison has like a stick figure. Like, is this okay? You know, Now, is that offensive? Sure. But do I think they should be taken down? I'm like, no, because they make fun of Jesus. There's an episode about the Virgin Mary. I'm like, oh my God, leave the Virgin Mary out of this. I just skipped the episode. It's actually a really funny episode. When you watch it, I'm like, I just feel guilty for watching it. But like, you know, I have a feeling they're already talking about like Friends. They're always talking about these shows and they're like, okay, this episode was really bad and Chandler was, you know, homophobic and stuff like that. But really, they were making fun of Chandler's homophobia.
Right,
he wasn't really homophobic, but like he had issues because everyone thought he might be gay, you know, stuff like that.
Exactly.
And to this day, I'll be honest with you, there are not that many sitcoms I watch that I think are funny anymore because I think they're afraid to take risks. The Office has a great episode that deals with homophobia. I don't think it would air now.
We talk about that all the time. There's no way The Office will get made right now.
No. And here's the thing: the people making it are liberals. They're liberal minded. It's not like these are conservatives making fun. No, they're kind of having. It's a shame because I think it's going to get to a point where, like, you know, like remember when Zack Snyder first dropped that image of Steppenwolf fighting the Amazonians? He released a short clip on Vero, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, he's showing violence against women.
Against women, yeah.
It's like that's not what's happening.
Oh my!
But like, there's enough people, and I don't think they're the majority. I just think people are loud enough that studios get scared. The only people studio isn't scared of are the Snyder people because we're asking to restore the Snyderverse. And I think that's dangerous. Sometimes at some point, some studio is going to have to say, no, we're not going to fire this person just because you don't like them. And that's going to buck the trend the other way. But right now, they're so afraid of being, because the immediately word they go to is racist. You're racist. You're a racist for doing this, or you're this, and people are afraid of that. So they're trying to overcompensate. Because I think that's what happened with Ray Fisher when they had discussion about should they have an angry black man at the center of the film. That was them trying to be woke. They're like, oh, okay, we can't show that.
Right.
We get criticized. The Twitter mob will come after us, you know. And it's just strange place where we are in the world of art that I think everything is a little too sanitized. Even the stuff I like is a little too sanitized.
And I don't know if you guys watch Community, but there was an episode early on in the series that it was about Dungeons and Dragons, and Ken
you already know when you have to take that style off.
Yeah, so they had to. The episode's unavailable. You cannot find it anywhere. You can barely find it on YouTube. But Ken's character paints himself to look like an orc, which is he paints himself dark. He's already like your skin color, Jack, right? He's an Asian American.
Yeah,
and he's pretty, you know, whatever. But they took that as depicting blackface.
Oh my God.
But you can watch Tropic Thunder.
Yeah. You know why? Because Robert Downey Jr. didn't apologize about that. When he was on Joe Rogan, he actually defended it. I think once you apologize, that's when they like, aha, so you admit you did something wrong. It becomes like the witch burnings. Like, well, okay, I'm not really a witch, but I did pray to this statue. Ah, so you admit it. If you don't apologize, I think I'm surprised they haven't canceled Bill Burr. He got in trouble. Because he's on The Mandalorian, and he did a whole opening bit on SNL, and I'm like, I am surprised they didn't cancel him for that. But he's the guy who's not going to apologize, and I think that's the key.
And sorry, 1 second. It's crazy that people don't like the Snyderverse. You know why? Because they directly mention what's going on in the world several times. Yeah, like I believe they mention it in the Superman hearings where every act is a political one.
Yeah.
And studios are finding that out the hard way, where every act that they make, firing Gina Carano, the stuff with Ray Fisher, you name it, the list goes on and on and on. Every act that you make becomes a political one, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And I think that movie is so like the other day, someone compared it, Ben Affleck to Captain Ahab. I'm like, oh my God, that's another comparison I never thought of. That movie is so deep in some of the stuff it says. And one of the issues I think it talks about is like the gay witch hunt in The Office. He's like, I think that person's gay, but he's not wearing women's clothes. Like, but like in actuality, he's tackling homophobia. But in BVS, like what the movie I think does is, and it sort of deals with the idea of like a world where people don't really believe in God anymore, so they kind of deify Superman. And if Superman makes a mistake, it splits everyone. Like, Superman never calls himself a god, but like it splits the world. Like, wait, and I think that part kind of reflects that we have kind of deified politicians and celebrities. We've turned them into our own personal gods. And that's a problem. They did it with Trump and they did it with Obama too. Like, people say, oh, they're always chanting Trump. I'm like, we used to go to Obama rallies. We'd be like, Obama, Obama. And then when you deify someone like God, they can't make any mistakes. And even when they do bad things, you can't criticize them. And it becomes like a team sport. You're only for things when your guy's for them, and you're only against them when the other guy's for them. And the problem in Batman vs Superman was that people had deified Superman. They'd turned him into like this Christ-like figure, but he's actually, for lack of a better word, human. I mean, Kryptonian, but a human. He's going to make mistakes, and that's why that's such a good movie. And that episode of Community, I remember which one you're talking about. Like, I'm like, that's the one they canceled, and I don't even think Community was that offensive of a show. Are
you kidding me? Pierce on that show. If you're really gonna cancel,
he's Archie Bunker. He's like a new Archie Bunker.
If you're gonna cancel anything in the world, it would be every episode of Community.
Yeah,
Pierce is literally
a
walking, talking, cancel culture in a ball.
Yeah,
that's Pierce, right? On a regular basis, making sexist, racist comments, but it's funny. It's comedy.
It is funny. Look, you mentioned All in the Family earlier tonight. Some of my favorite episodes of All in the Family are the ones where they deal with race. Austin, I don't know if you ever saw All in the Family.
Yeah.
But like there was some like him, and then they made a spinoff called The Jeffersons. George Jefferson was originally on the Family. That family lived next door, and Archie. There's an episode where he finds out they have black neighbors, and he just flips out. He's like, "Oh my God!" Like he just freaks out. And then Edith accidentally invites him over for dinner, and Archie's like, "I'm never sitting with a black family." Of course, that's not the language he uses. But like, there's those shows were more honest about race in America at the time than I think shows are today. In today's show, at the end, Archie would be like, I guess I was wrong. I learned something today. I'm going to change. It's like, no, people don't change so easily, And like you won't find All in the Family. When I got CBS All Access, they don't have All in the Family on there. And I emailed them like, how come you guys don't have All in the Family? You have every sitcom except that one. And they're like, because that's just, I was like, because luckily, and it's hard to find. It really doesn't come on TV anymore, even though it was bigger than Friends when it was on, because they're afraid. And I think people need to stop being afraid of being able to say. Bill Maher always says the problem with laughter is you can't control it. If you see something funny and you laugh, it's a natural reaction, And right now, I think they're trying so hard to make you. It feels like not that they're teaching you something, because movies have always had politics in them, but they want you to believe and come to the same conclusion that we are. Right. And that's why I think BVS is a great movie, because it doesn't really tell you what the right answer is. It's not like, oh, by the way, Superman was right, Batman was wrong. No, Batman was right, Superman. Doesn't tell you. It leaves it ambiguous. It's up to you to decide, was Batman justified in some ways, which you say he could be justified from his point of view, or was it Superman? And good art makes you ask questions. It doesn't give you the answers all the time. And I feel like now they're like, let's figure out the answer first, then make that into the show. Have you guys talked about Falcon and Winter Soldier yet?
We have, but like I said, bring it.
So like it was so obvious to me from like the first episode. I'm enjoying it, by the way. That the Flag Smashers, or at least that girl Kari, is that her name?
Kari Morningthau.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, she's going to become a good guy, because what she's ultimately doing is good. And I was like, I didn't really buy that. Like, I kind of got that. They blew up a building and killed innocent people in episode 3, was it? And now all of a sudden Falcon's like, I hear see where you're coming from, and I actually agree with you. I'm like, that was, to me, like, I knew where they were going with that. That if you have to destroy property for a righteous cause, it's okay. And I immediately saw where they were connecting with that. And it was so obvious that John Walker was going to become the bad guy. Like, we saw that coming too much. And I'm like, that's not good if I can see where this is going. I'm still enjoying the show, but
yeah, I've been saying that for a while, that John Walker was gonna, his greedy intentions were gonna, basically his envy for Steve Rogers, or his envy of being Steve Rogers, and the fact that he wasn't ever going to be able to be Steve, was going to lead him down a dark path. and it really did happen. It basically exactly the way I said was he was going to be faced with the opportunity to take the serum, and he did. And the way that they showed it, I thought was really well done. Where Zemo, the villain, is offered the same opportunity and smashes most of the vials, only to be taken out by the good guy. That is faced with that opportunity. And selfishly,
so far, I think Zemo's made every right move. Like when they found that guy who was making the super soldier serums, I forgot what his name was.
The only one who had the balls to pull the trigger.
Yeah, and I was like, that's kind of what you need to do, because even if you arrest him, everyone in the world's going to be looking for him.
Yeah,
And so when Zemo shot him, I was like,
I think they broke Zemo out. If they want the guy that made the super soldier serum, they'll break him out too.
Exactly. So like when he shot him, like I guess, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. When he smashed the super soldier serum, I thought he did the right thing. Well, again, I said this last week. What made Captain America great wasn't the serum; it was Steve Rogers. It was the man. That's why Erskine picked him. He's like, no, this is a good man. At his core. It's been a
constant theme in the Captain America lore is the serum. The serum isn't what makes the man. The serum isn't what makes the hero. It's the man.
Exactly. Be a good man.
Hero. So it turns good, great, and evil, or bad, evil. And John Walker, for all, I mean, he's
the high school jock who basically likes the attention. Doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
It doesn't.
When he gets to sear him, he wants that attention. He wants that recognition. Cap never did it for that.
Right.
He was basically a criminal the last 2 years of his life. Captain America, the actual Captain America, was basically a criminal for the last few years. He didn't care about his image or whether he was doing would make S.H.I.E.L.D. happy. He did the right thing because he was the right thing. And that's why it doesn't work with John Walker. It's not that he was a bad guy, but he certainly doesn't have the patience or the, the mental fortitude to have the serum. And also, I thought there was a silly moment in that fight scene. The fight scene that happens at the end of episode 4?
Yeah.
So when that guy Hoskins, it looks like he got killed. Like the Avengers, for lack of a better word, the Winter Soldier, Falcon, and Cap are like, I was okay with that. But when the other side went like this, like even they paused, like, oh my God, what have we done? I'm like, you guys were just using knives and stuff to kill each other. Why are you guys upset that you might have killed this dude? Right. And that's where it gets like, it makes sense in Civil War when it happened to Rhodey because they weren't actually trying to kill each other at the airport. They were trying to subdue each other. Like, why are they upset that they might have killed the guy who they were actually trying to kill 5 seconds earlier?
Right.
And I was
it definitely like they should have like maybe not reacted like that and just ran away. And then maybe after they ran away, reacted like, oh God, I can't believe we actually like you know what I mean? We want to kill him. We wanted to kill because their goal was to kill the Captain America.
Yeah.
They were there with the intentions to kill.
Yeah.
Been surprised when it happened.
But like, see, this is where like they're trying to make you think like, oh, they're actually the good guys. And even though they killed people, the Flag Smashers, they're actually on the right side of history. And I'm like, well, what if I don't agree with that? What if I think that, okay, they're trying to help people, but they also blew up a building? Because that's what terrorism is all about. Like in whether it's ISIS or Al Qaeda or Boko Haram, in their own heads, they're the good guys. Like they're doing the right thing for the right reason, whether it's religious or whatever. They don't see themselves as villains. They see us, America or the West, as villains. And I'm like, well, what if I don't agree with that? What if I think like, no, there is a good and there is a bad? And I feel like they're trying to blur the lines and they're trying to be profound. Like, I bet you didn't see it from that perspective. I'm like, I do. But, because I think what's going to happen is the Flag Smashers and the Falcon and Winter Soldier are going to team up. I think that's what's going to happen. Against John Walker. I think that's where that's going because they don't really have a central villain. I thought it was going to be Zemo, but I'm kind of liking Zemo. Like, I'm like, can we get like a Zemo show? Like
I think I do think we'll get that eventually, but it will be in a different sense I think it'll be.
My favorite Zemo moment is when he tries to act woke. He's like, Trouble Man captures the essence of the African-American spirit. I'm like, oh, I was dying laughing. Like, I was like, that's great.
For me, Zemo's kind of stolen the show.
Yeah, he is because he's a really good actor.
And I think, I hope he's not gone
Yeah.
Because he's gone, right?
Mhm.
They beat Pablo Escobar out of there.
Mhm.
And is that it for him for the series?
No.
That'd be kind of cool if he ends up becoming the hero at the end. You know,
Coming in with the mask on. He's only had the mask on once, so
yeah.
Right.
It'd be nice to see him like come in as full Baron, Baron Zemo.
That actor Daniel Bruhl, he was in he became famous. He was first in Inglourious Bastards. He plays that German sniper, and he's like 20. He was great in that, and then he's great in that show The Alienist. And I'm like,
I love
this
it.
dude needs to be in more stuff. And I would love to see him as Zemo.
He did another great movie with Chris Hemsworth called Rush. That's a true story about race cars, and his character basically gets his entire face and everything burned off.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
and
wow.
gets back in the car, I think 2 weeks later for another race.
Oh,
bandage.
Wow.
Oh, it's crazy.
But so I think that I do think that the show is going to end like this. The show is going to end, and all of a sudden we're going to see Thunderbolt contact John Walker.
Mm.
And I think that's where we're going to start the Thunderbolts coming.
Okay.
That's where we might get Zemo next. Is the Thunderbolts. So
that's what I was
thinking. And he's been apparently getting death threats. How about that?
Yeah, so the guy who plays John Walker, Wyatt Russell, he's getting death threats because people are so mad that he's Captain America.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Imagine what
but you know what? That's that mob mentality.
When they saw him decapitate this dude.
Right, yeah. They were like,
my sister was so happy. She's like, good, F that guy. Like she hates the flag smash. She's like, good, I'm glad he killed him.
So what do you think? What do you think about them taking a darker approach all of a sudden?
I mean, I think that's just them forcing us to hate Cap, the new Cap, and love the flag smashers. I'm like, the dude's a super soldier. Like, how else are you going to stop and put him in handcuffs?
Well, I mean, I think you could have killed him differently without the rage and the But the scene was very graphic for what you could do with PG-13 or whatever it is. I think the scene portrayed a very dark.
He went full Wilson Fisk on him. Dude's head off.
I said that earlier. I said it reminded me of when Wilson Fisk was smashing the guy's head with the door. Like with each stroke, you were like, "Ah!"
Yeah,
I'm surprised this Captain America doesn't carry a gun because he did in the comics. And in Captain America, the First Avenger, he is using a gun. They won't show you him shooting anyone like Steve Rogers, but he comes into that famous scene where they break through the door.
Yeah.
You see him dropping grenades in a tank, and the tank blows up. He killed those people because it was a war. And then in Avengers, the First Avengers, he uses an assault rifle when he's trying to. Remember when Iron Man's trying to get the turbine started up?
Yeah.
And he's like telling Cap, Cap picks up an assault. I'm like, he's a soldier. So I'm surprised that this. Oh, John Walker did have a gun. I remember when they broke it, he did have a gun.
Into the door. He was armed up, and that's when they separate them. But you do see how fragile, like Sam and Hoskins are. You know, with the way they fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all hands and feet. They're really highly trained. Combatants, but you see how fragile they are when Carly just smashes this one guy and snaps his neck, and that's the risk that Sam takes every time he suits up. And I do think that the qualities that he possesses are why Steve chose him instead of Bucky.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the thought of when he wakes up every day is to do the right thing. Right?
Yeah. Right.
Bucky's kind of skewed in the sense where he doesn't really know what's right and wrong. He just knows what he needs to do at the time. And that would make
I would make
a
supposition that had Captain America been captured in World War II and they tried to brainwash him, it wouldn't have worked. Because that's the kind of person he was. Bucky, when we first meet him at the first Captain America, the ladies love him. He's a tall, handsome one.
Right.
He's good looking, kind of like, what's his name? What's the name of the new captain? I was going to say John Smith. John Walker. That he might, and we know that he has issues. I always wonder, like, what if Cap had been captured and they try to brainwash him? Would that have worked? And I don't think it would have.
What if story?
Yeah.
That'd be a really good what if story, actually.
I'm right. I'm sure they probably will touch on that.
Jeffrey Ford. Let's get that in a what if episode, huh?
Yeah.
I contacted him and he said, so the deal is, while the show is running, they can't do anything. You can't.
Okay.
We can't have him on. I would have to go through Disney Plus. Once the show ends and there's nothing on, then it's up to him, to do that.
Yeah.
But he's definitely interested in. He definitely wants to come back. So for anyone who doesn't know, he's the lead editor on Falcon and Winter Soldier as well. But he did most of the Avengers, all the Avengers movies, all the Captain America movies, and Iron Man 2.
Okay.
He's done pro bono work even for Marvel when they ask him to they'll ask him to do a certain scene because the editor that they're working with at the time, either doesn't have the experience or can't do it alone. So Jeffrey is really the go-to guy for editing at Marvel Studios, and he became a friend of ours. So I respect.
It's crazy how they have all these crazy rules about that. Like a show's on has to be when there's no show on. Like,
because he could potentially spoil it. Because he directly works. He's directly responsible for the way the show is perceived.
Yeah,
he's editing it together the way that we see it come out. The actors don't even know what he knows.
Yeah,
because they only know that it's compartmentalized to the point where the actors only know unless you're Anthony Mackie or Sebastian Stan, you probably don't know what's happening in the whole show as an actor.
Yeah,
right.
There's only 2 episodes left.
Only 2 left, man. 6 episodes, but I think they've done a better job with the runtime.
Yeah.
The runtime.
And this is way better than WandaVision, I think,
God.
in my opinion.
I said that. How many times did I say that? Ed with Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
I said it countless times. This is more of what we know, and I think it would have been a better transition for audiences to lead with Falcon and Winter Soldier because it's such a Marvel-esque story.
Yeah.
And then we could have experimented with WandaVision.
Yeah.
Maybe not set the expectations. Look, the cameos in Falcon and Winter Soldier have been by far better than WandaVision. Wakandan high guards there.
Yeah.
One of the episodes opens in Wakanda.
I forget what that one Dora Milaje chick's name is. She was all the way in Civil War when she was with T'Challa, and he's like, "Move or I'll move you." She says that to Black Widow, and then Black Panther's like,
that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's that same actress. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I like how they, did that. They just cast another actress.
Yep.
So I think Marvel's testing the waters on this darker approach and testing the waters and seeing what they can get away with, seeing what they could do with audiences and potentially, what could the future hold? If we can go here, where else can we go?
Right.
They need to bring back Daredevil and Punisher at least, and I don't think they could be on Disney Plus. But I hope they don't. If they decide to reboot it, I hope they don't tone the characters down for Disney Plus. You know what I mean? That's what I'm worried about.
That's going to happen anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
After seeing the way this show has happened, I don't think that you necessarily would have to tone down the characters. I think you might have to shoot it differently.
Maybe
you couldn't exactly show like Wilson Fisk slamming the door on someone's head.
the
same way, but you could cut it differently where you're seeing it from like. You're looking at Wilson and he's slamming the door.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know.
But I want that greatness. I hope they'll do it on Hulu. Maybe that'd be kind of cool. But but like the Punisher, there's no way around it because like that's a Max comic book. Like that's that's a violent character and he should be violent.
Character that's taking heat because of political reasons.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So stupid.
Because people wear his logo. Now all of a sudden he is affected. Right.
I have like 5 Punisher shirts. I love the character. Like that's not an endorsement. I have a poster of the Godfather behind me. Like you can't see it. That does not mean I support the Italian mafia or root for the Italian mafia.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Scarface. I love Scarface. That does not mean I'm for the Cuban crime wave. That's not mean that I'm for drug mules and cocaine and all that stuff. It's just it's a work of art that I can appreciate. And I think one of the reasons cops like the Punisher a lot is because he is like their Batman in the sense that he's just a normal guy.
Right.
He was a Marine. He didn't serve in law enforcement, but he did public service and became a vigilante. I would love to see a Punisher movie done in the line of John Wick.
Ooh.
That'd be kind of cool. Like in that style, just hunts down, mows people down, crazy action. gung fu, or was it gun fu? Is that what they call it? Like using, and I don't think Disney Plus would do that. And they might at the moment be like, hey, let's put the character on ice. And I'm like, I hope not, because John Bernthal was great. And the cast in Daredevil was just phenomenal.
Lose those two guys.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll. I mean, I don't think we'll lose them, but I don't think it's like, how long can we wait? But then then we go back to like what Avatar, right? Clearly we can wait a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Because D'Onofrio's really into playing Kingpin. He's like, he loves playing Kingpin, and he's too good an actor. He's like he's a Oscar caliber actor. You know what I mean? He's not an actor, and he just kills that role.
Yeah. So, and then kind of talking about that, they talked about like earlier in the year, they're making Blade, new Blade. And then that's going to be a PG-13 one. You guys know that. That's one that I think that should be stayed rated R. Like, especially after we've seen 3 R-rated Blade movies. Like
the opening of Blade would never get made now. That first Blade movie where they go to a club and all of a sudden blood pours on everyone and everything just stops and Blade's standing there and he's hacking off limbs and stuff. I'm like, they're going to lose something if they make that PG-13.
Yeah, we're going to see it. And I really do feel bad for what's his name?
Mahershala Ali.
Because he's not going to get the same. He's not going to get the same. Not recognition, platform. Like he's not going to get the same. Chance that
Wesley Snipes
got, because Wesley. I mean, the rated R tag allowed them to do whatever they wanted. Whatever they chose to do is whatever they chose to do. But Mahershala could have went so many different ways, and that now they're limiting it by making it PG-13, and I don't think the characters are going to hit as well.
Yep.
So,
I still doubt, even though they said so, I still doubt they're going to make Deadpool 3 R-rated. I think that's the reason we haven't heard anything. Like, we keep hearing they're working on it. Everything's going well. Of course they'll be R-rated. And I have a feeling that they're not going to do that. I think what they'll do is they'll film the movie and then they'll do like a PG-13 cut, kind of like they did with Deadpool 2. Remember, a couple of months later they released a Christmas PG. They could pull something like that on Ryan Reynolds. Like they'll make an R-rated version and then just like taking all the stuff that they like the blood is all CGI. They can just take that out and they'll make it a PG-13 comedy. And I'm like, I hope they don't do that. But they're Disney. They know it'll make money, and they don't want kids going to see an R-rated movie at the MCU, and that's a shame.
Right. I don't think they'll do that. Because I think they know if they were to pull something like that, fans will not just like fans will lose it. That. But I do think we're gonna see a much toned down R-rated Deadpool. A much toned. We're not. I don't think we're gonna
do is say fuck twice for an R rating.
Yeah,
that could be it.
Right for two fucks at the right time that get the right laughs. That.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And then it's all it is like.
And the rest are chimichangas, like
it'll be those types of jokes, those PG-13 jokes, like, which is great, but like the character,
hopefully
the whole thing
Ryan,
with the character is that he's uninhibited,
yeah,
and they're gonna
Ryan
take that aspect out
and doesn't allow it and says like, well, either we make it the way it needs to be made or we don't make it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then or we make it and we put it on Hulu only.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I do think Marvel's they're wasting a lot of time. They're wasting a lot because the creator of Deadpool, Rob Liefeld, he's been pretty open about this, that like this is $1 billion franchise.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, the first movie made $1 billion. The second movie it's like, why are we waiting so long? Why is Marvel being,
Because I think Marvel Studios is like, it's a big franchise, but do we need it? Because right now we can make Captain Marvel, which was awful in my opinion.
Right.
And that made $1 billion. Like we could make 20 other properties and still make that money, True. And so I'm sure in their mind, they're like, we don't really need Deadpool. We did 23 movies or 24 movies without him. We can keep making 20 more. We'll make Squirrel Girl. That'll make $1 billion. Well, Thor 4 is going to make $1 billion. Doctor Strange 2 might make $1 billion.
I think both of those movies will make $1 billion easy because of the lack of content.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When those movies come out, like people
Spider-Man 3 will make $1 billion.
Yeah, people are going to be refreshed and like ready to go see movies again. That's like going to be one thing. If you can buy stock in movie theaters now, I would highly suggest you do it.
Black Panther 2 will make $2 billion, even if it won't have T'Challa in it.
Right.
Yeah.
I bought $50 in stock at for Dogecoin.
Okay.
Yeah, get in on Dogecoin now, man. I'm
Yep.
telling you, it's a good investment right now.
Yeah.
It's 7 cents right now, but people are people are expecting it to be so like Bitcoin will be the $1,000. The one that starts with E will be $100, and like they're trying to get Dogecoin up to be like like the $50. Like they want cryptocurrency to be the
new thing.
The new thing, but I just got insider tips, and so I did it. I only spent $50 though. I'm not going
Okay.
on that. But if you can do it now, I do highly suggest investing in airlines, AMC theaters, and Dogecoin. Those are the three. Pick an airline. Pick one. I don't know.
I'm surprised they haven't gone after Deadpool yet. Like the PC crowd. Like I'm surprised there hasn't been like that kind of like,
Well, okay, so
I was really surprised when they went after Downey Jr. for Tropic Thunder. Even though I know that I was really like, really, you're gonna like that whole take. I understand, but like that whole take was to purposely say, "Hey, look how Hollywood whitewashes." These characters. Like that was the whole point, and you're still gonna cancel them.
That was so stupid. And like, look, even actors in their personal lives, I really don't care. Like the whole thing with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, you can have an opinion about it, but like I only care about the performances. Same thing with Jeremy Renner. There's some issue with him and his family. I don't care.
Right. Right.
I really don't care. Like but Hollywood would still make Roman Polanski movies, but Roman Polanski's a good director, but he actually did, go pretty far in what he did.
Yeah. He's
and
extradited from the U.S.
he can't come back here. He's going to get arrested. But but you will have Hollywood. So Roman Polanski.
Yeah, he's the guy that's I know.
You know what he did, but like he can't. He's not in the USA. But like they will still promote his movies. Like Hollywood will still celebrate him. He was defended by other celebrities. Like, hey, there's something a long time ago. Come on, get over it. I'm like, okay,
what did he do though.
He had sex with a 14-year-old girl.
Oh,
so that's statutory rape.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s or might have been the 80s, and like he just ran away. He just,
This is after.
This is after the Charles Manson thing. Yeah. So he's kind of been like, and he's still a good director. Don't get me wrong, but like he's basically can't come to the U.S. because the second he does, he's going to get arrested.
Right.
And a lot of people in Hollywood defend him. They're like, hey, well, he did something bad, but he's apologized. The victim's over it. I'm like, that's not how this works. Because if anyone else had done that, it would be like
Woody Allen thing. Hollywood's very split with Woody Allen. You have literally half of Hollywood that defends him and half that won't work with him.
Yeah. So when that same Hollywood like tells you like what's moral and what's right, I'm like, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
That industry.
But the last thing we'll talk about today is so Billy brought it up, but so yesterday, Make the Batfleck movie trended. So final thoughts on so what do you think? Is Warner Brothers being smart here by not saying anything yet? Or because word on the street is that Zach's on vacation right now, and after that they potentially want to talk about the future, and they don't want to make any announcements yet, or they don't want to talk about numbers yet. But it could potentially be happening soon. What are you guys' thoughts? Do we see the Snyderverse restored? Talking about billion-dollar properties and what audiences are ready for. I think the audiences are ready for the Snyderverse.
I think right now there might be even a discussion that why put Justice League on HBO, because if it were to be a fully feature-length film, it could make $1 billion.
Yeah, easily.
Yep.
So I think that.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was a conversation they're having right now, or they're having. Robert Pattinson thing, and the Robert Pattinson movie may still kill it. I have no doubt it will.
Is it just me?
No, it's me. Yeah,
I'm out the movie.
Okay.
And like a few months later, like okay,
Jack, you're cutting out.
Very Andrew Garfield, Remember, like the Tobey Maguire movies just ended, and they're like, "All right, we're just gonna reboot it again." And they did, And right
Jack,
now they're like, if we backtrack, what's up?
You cut out a lot. I have no idea what you've been saying.
Oh, am I cutting out?
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's just give yourself a second to catch up. I do understand what you're saying. Like I kind of got a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I'm not gonna lie. I really don't. I don't know. I don't know what you said.
So what I was saying was, okay, yeah, I just saw like a Wi-Fi signal, although I'm hardwired. I don't know what that is.
No. That comes up no matter what. Everyone sees it lately. It's a new thing that they do. If your connection has a little problem, a Wi-Fi symbol will come up. That just means connection. In StreamYard talk, it doesn't mean Wi-Fi. Because it freaked me out the first 7 times I saw it. I was like, what the hell is that thing?
So basically what I was saying is I thought they were too impulsive to jump from Batfleck to Pattinson just like that, and I never bought for 1 second that Affleck couldn't figure out the script, because that's what he said. Like, well, we couldn't figure out the script. It's time to, it was such a scripted thing he said. And again, this goes back to BVS. They just reacted so impulsively. They saw the negative reaction. And, Owen Gleiberman said that I think the movie got unfairly panned, But okay, but now it's clear, because now if they rehire Affleck, I mean, he's already going to be in Flash, but if they were to restore his aspect of the Snyderverse, that's going to make them look really stupid,
And that's the problem, though. Mm-hmm. Would you rather look stupid for a couple months and then get over it? People would get over it. People would forget about it. They would not forget about it, but they wouldn't. Like, if you restore the Snyderverse right now, today. 2 months from now, we would no longer be talking about how dumb Warner Brothers is, and we'd be we'd be starting to look forward to
right.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is pride. It comes down to their pride.
Yeah.
And them as a studio not wanting to look weak or that like they're catering to us. But
absolutely,
there's so much money. Justice doesn't seem to think that there's money in the Snyderverse, which is a bold-faced, idiotic statement to make. There's so much money in this universe.
Yeah. I mean, I would say now more so than ever, because now with the Snyder Cut, if the Snyder Cut hadn't been good, then I think we wouldn't be having this conversation. Like, if they were like, nope, this was just another bad movie. And look, there are critics who are saying that, like on YouTube, like, oh, it's the same movie. And I think they're trolling. It's obviously not the same movie, but it's having such
made up a couple months ago.
Exactly. And, they're going after the Snyder base as toxic. Like, give me one fan base that doesn't have toxic stuff in it. I'm in the Star Wars and Star Trek fan base.
Yeah.
Way more toxic. Star Trek fans right now are awful human beings. And some of them are right, but like, they are some like the worst human beings in the world. And
Star Trek, but Star Wars is ugly.
It is very ugly.
Luckily they got the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't.
And listen, the last 5 minutes of season 2 proved what went wrong with the new trilogy. People still want to see Luke Skywalker. It's like, yeah, he's our boy, but he's a white male. I'm like, who cares? Who cares? I don't care. He's not my hero because he was white. He was, he was just my hero, And
people want, again, Sebastian Stan. They want him up there playing that character.
I'd be down with that. Have you heard the rumors that Dave Filoni is trying to do his own thing? To the point where he hopes to slowly erase the new trilogy. Because right now they're kind of locked. Because everyone's like, well, didn't Grogu die then by Kylo Ren? They're like, crap. How are we going to figure that out? And they're just like, what if we just kind of keep doing our own thing? Not necessarily erase it, but just,
I heard they're going to straight up erase it.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're saying he would have killed Grogu when he killed all the kids, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now it causes problems for
the future. Not only that, but like I think there's a really strong desire to see Luke, Han, and Leia post Jedi. So we've seen Luke, and obviously they have to cast different actors, but you technically have a young Han Solo.
Right.
And Sebastian Stan, you have someone that fans are willing to accept, and not only that, Mark Hamill likes him. The two of them are actually pretty good friends. They like each other. So Mark Hamill would be fine with him playing a young Luke Skywalker. All you need is a Princess Leia, and show us the world post Jedi. That's what the fan. I've read so many what they call books. Never on fan books, but they were part of the Lucasfilm thing.
Right.
General Thrawn and all that. I'm like, oh man, that's what I want to see.
Yeah. And that's where it seems like Ahsoka is going. They're going to go with the Thrawn stuff, and that's the other thing that I heard. Is that
they're trying to cancel her too for something she said on Twitter like years ago.
Who?
Rosario Dawson. They're saying she's a transphobe, and what she said wasn't transphobic. It might have been, I don't know what it was, but it was like really like at some point this has got to stop.
Right, exactly. But in Rebels they have that scene where Ezra, is like in this time warp thing, goes back and saves Ahsoka, and essentially that was the introduction of time and manipulating time in Star Wars, in the Star Wars universe. So I've heard that's
They can
Filoni's
flashpoint it and like reset it, maybe.
right. That's what I heard Filoni wants to do. He wants to use that same type of thing, and
because here's the thing: Kathleen Kennedy is a great producer, but she's not a Star Wars fan. Like if you watch her interviews, I mean, look.
Right.
George Lucas compared them to white slavers in an interview with Charlie Rose. I'm like, did he actually say that? But he's got that FU money where he can say whatever he wants,
Right.
Disney, the white slavers, because their deal was that, okay, we're going to take your outline and we're going to make our own movies based on those outlines. And once they did the deal, they're like, nope, we're going to do our own thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And even the movies were greatly successful. You have people talking about the prequels in such a better light right now.
Right. Yeah. These movies made me like the prequel.
Yeah, because
like really hated the sequels that much.
Oh yeah, when I saw Force Awakens, I was like, I was one of the few people who didn't like it. I was like, I didn't like it because they basically undid all the good stuff that happened in Jedi. Basically, what Luke, Han, and Leia sacrificed to destroy the Empire lasted for like 10 years, and then they came back. It's like, oh well.
There are moments in the Force Awakens that I really liked, like the nostalgia. I really like that scene when they're running past like the Millennium Falcon. And
there's some great moments. But the problem for me was, okay, so there's Luke, or there's Han, there's Leia, and the whole time in the theater, I'm like, where's Luke? Where's Luke?
Right.
And like I couldn't, and I wasn't a big fan. So one thing George said, he says, say what you will about the prequels, there were 3 completely different movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it wasn't like they were rehashes of the new trilogy. I'm like, yeah, he's right. They were boring and sometimes cheesy, but like they were his vision, and they didn't ruin the new trilogy for me or the original trilogy. It wasn't like something happened in that kind of ruins everything. Yeah. I didn't like the new trilogy, and I thought I hate The Last Jedi. I like Rian Johnson, but like
The Last Jedi, I think is probably the best Star Wars movie made since the original movies.
Oh, really? So for me, that's Rogue One.
Wait, okay. What did you just say?
The Last Jedi is like one of the best Star Wars movies made since the original. Like for me, it's up there with the
really.
Yeah, I love.
For me, it's Rogue One. I liked Rogue One.
And
Rogue One is number 2. Rogue One's number 2 for me.
Are you sure you're quoting the right movie?
The Last Jedi.
The second one.
The second one, yeah. Rian Johnson.
The one that everyone hates.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
what they did with like Luke Skywalker. You know who else hates it? Mark Hamill. You ever see like compilations of his interviews? Like you could tell he's not happy with the way Rian Johnson was going with that.
And even in the film behind the scenes, they did a whole thing of behind the scenes, like where he says like, I fundamentally disagree with everything you're doing with this character.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was one of the people that I was like, I went in there expecting a certain, Luke Skywalker to be badass, and it wasn't. And I know people got pissed, but I liked it. I liked the subversion of expectation.
See, but here's the thing: when you do it with so like it's different with like Marvel, because they can always kind of reboot things, retool things. Once you get rid of a character like that character's gone, and the way people reacted to him in The Mandalorian, you're like, that's Luke Skywalker right there, And it also doesn't look good that when you see like footage of them filming The Mandalorian, George Lucas is on set and he's chatting with Jon Favreau, and you can tell he's having fun.
Right.
Star Wars, because Star Wars was about taking the religious values of Buddhism and Taoism,
and
those Eastern values, and then mixing it with the Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. You had men in robes spouting philosophy, while you have bounty hunters over there. And that's what Mandalorian is, right? You still have the Jedi. You still have like this kind of philosophical conversation while you have like a bounty hunter with a gun protecting a kid, which is very true grit. That's like a John Wayne movie. Like, oh, that's what Star Wars was taking those two genres, Kurosawa and Buck Rogers, and mixing them together. And
And I'm like very much like a not fair weather Star Wars fan, but I don't take it as like, I'm not, if they do something and they take like a liberty, I won't burn the stakes for it. I watch it and I enjoy it. The Last Jedi was a movie where I just sat through, enjoyed. The whole sequel trilogy I enjoyed because
Mhm.
visually it was pleasing. The story I thought was cognizant and consecutive enough for me. I did have a hard time with the originals because I watched them later on in life.
Maybe, yeah, that's what it is. I mean,
Right.
I don't think Ray was that interesting of if your protagonist is
honestly,
not
she did
interesting,
annoy me a little bit. She did annoy me a little bit.
like she's
at
not as
points.
interesting as. And here's, of the 3 sequel movies, do you know which one I actually enjoyed the most and actually rewatched? Rise of
Last one?
Skywalker.
Oh God.
And I didn't like the movie, but I was like, okay, like I thought like the visuals. First of all, I think it's stupid that Palpatine was back. I'm like, so Darth Vader, basically his whole character arc over 6 movies, right out the window.
Right.
And that's the problem I have with a little bit of the nostalgia stuff. If they really wanted to do it right, they might have just done a fresh trilogy and just not have done Luke, Han, and Leia. Let's like leave them be.
That's what they needed to do.
Yeah.
Just leave the Skywalker thing alone.
Yeah.
And go and they tease that at the end of Last Jedi.
Yeah.
With the boy with the broom.
Yeah, and that was the other thing I really liked about Last Jedi is Last Jedi. I thought of all of them, of all the movies, Last Jedi was the one that came in and said, "You don't have to be a Skywalker. You don't have to be anybody.
Yeah.
You don't have. Your name doesn't matter. It's the Force chooses whoever.
Yeah.
And so that for me that's why I was, I think, so interested, is because it was like, all right, we're finally getting away from the Skywalker.
But then they make her a Skywalker. And I'm like, no, she's not.
Right, yeah, right.
My name is Ray Skywalker.
Or is that like she like inherits like the name somewhat?
I think she just takes it, because her mentors.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
But no, I was in the theater when she goes, what's it? Ray Skywalker. I literally said, no, it's not.
But like to go to your point, like about the Skywalker thing, like the way Lucas, he always said it was a story about fathers and sons.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like from his perspective, it is about the Skywalkers. It's about Anakin, and he always said like the whole thing is about Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
Have you guys heard about the alternate footage that was cut that actually featured Anakin Skywalker in it?
In what?
Did they film it?
They've never confirmed it, but that was like a big rumor that was cut. That there was a different version of the film, because they filmed that for a long time. That was going to be a ghost apparition of Anakin talking to Rey, because she was about to go to the dark side or something. I'm like, why did they take that out? That would have been so interesting.
Right. Rise of
Skywalker. Like they had other ideas of what they wanted to do. And the problem is that this is what I've heard, is that every time they use characters that were in the Lucas films, he gets like a paycheck. That's why in the beginning of Mandalorian, it's not IG-88. That robot that Taika Waititi plays, it's a different version of it, because they don't have to pay money to Lucas for using that character. And I'm like, oh, see, this is where the corporate politics get into it, and it bugs me.
Yeah.
That could have easily been IG-88, and that would have been kind of cool. But whatever.
Right. Well, we're almost at the 2.5-hour mark, so I'm probably gonna wrap up.
All right.
No, this is what it's all about, man.
Are we doing this again tomorrow morning?
So we'll talk tonight.
Okay.
About what the future holds.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be opposed.
All right.
But I think that's a decision we're all gonna have to make.
Yes.
And see where this goes. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. I know it's a Monday morning, and like this is only the second episode of this, so we're kind of feeling out the analytics of the morning, and we'll go from there. But it's fun to wake up together, have a coffee and talk about things we love. And I do truly enjoy it. So thank you everyone who stopped by. And we'll try to promote it a little bit better, promote it to more audiences. Because we're not just talking about DC here. I mean, we go from politics to DC to Marvel to Star Wars, like it's a ping pong match, like the monkey, right? So, I'm really excited on what we can do, where we can go, and hopefully we end up in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah. Right. Well, maybe our tagline should be "Everything is fair game."
Everything is fair game. No topic is off topic.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I like that. No topic is off topic.
No topic is off topic. So thank you, everyone. Become a Patreon, guys. It's only $5 a month. It really helps support the show. Really, really does. HD streams cost so much money for some reason. I think that would be technology that's not that expensive anymore. However,
you know the
StreamYard,
competitors are coming. Like someone's looking at live stream, like we can do this and cheaper.
yeah,
Right,
StreamYard has a tier where it's $25 for everything. You get everything, right? And then it increases by $25 just to do HD. That's the only thing that extra you get. $25 for HD.
It kind of reminds me of
compared to-
Netflix, where you got to pay extra for HD and extra for 4K. I'm like, who still uses a tube TV?
Yeah,
Right,
it's absolutely insanity to me.
It should basic should be HD.
Right.
The basic plan should be HD, and then it goes to 4K.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever. So the
Let's say
$5 a
before
month really does help.
Before we log off, Zack Snyder just released new Army of the Dead trailer for the Army of the Dead movie tomorrow. I don't know if anybody can
It's a trailer?
Or no, not trailer. New poster. I don't know.
Oh,
I can send the link.
1 second. I'll get it.
Yeah,
is it on Vero or?
It's on Twitter, on Vero. It's
okay. Yeah, for some reason on Google Chrome you have to download a Vero app. I think it's not like you just go to Vero.com.
Oh yeah, there it is. It's a
Judas and the Black Messiah is trending.
Oh,
let's see here.
One tweet in the last hour.
There it is.
I like how it looks like a comic book almost.
Yeah, I'm really digging it actually.
Yeah.
Story by Zack Snyder, directed by Zack Snyder, screenplay by Zack Snyder and Shay Hayden and Joby Harold. I love it. It's fully Zack Snyder.
yeah.
Yeah.
People are finally gonna get. So if you ever wondered to yourself like, oh, this is a Zack Snyder movie. You haven't seen a Zack Snyder movie until you've watched Army of the Dead, because this is a full, Sucker Punch, I guess, but
Right.
Sucker Punch is a passion project of his, but this is also going to be like a full-on Zack Snyder film.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as you can see, it says it right there in the purple, Zack Snyder film. So that's a good way to end it. Army of the Dead, baby. I love it. Make sure.
New trailer tomorrow.
Wow, Gavin. Haven't seen you in a while. I miss Gavin. Gavin, man, I miss you. What's been going on? And thank you. I have too many Captain America shirts to couple with my tattoo. But yeah, so get out there, tweet out, #Restore the Snyderverse. Let Warner Brothers know what you think. Let Warner Brothers know that they need to get out there. They need to start making the Snyderverse canon, and we need to get it explored indefinitely in the multiverse. Let them know that there's money in it. I know, Gavin, work. I know, but we're gonna be doing more morning time shows. So if you want to wake up with us, that'd be cool. Thank you guys for all stopping by. Jack.
Yep.
What's
You want me to close it out?
Close it out. Yeah.
All right, guys.
You're doing a good
we
job.
do for you, and we do it for the culture.
Hey, you did a good job. By the way, you've been doing really good on the other streams. People have been happy with you. So,
awesome.
Guys, we'll make it a little bit of an announcement tonight on when the next time we'll do this is, because we're gonna have a little meeting. But as Jack said, we do it for you.